waiting for the stream. If anybody's hearing us yet, we're going to show up from my end. Sweet. And I showed up at 22 seconds. Wow. Holy smokeroos. We're cruising today. Morning, everybody. And let's see, Elaine Shanikin 775 says she uses a box fan running on low with a 20-inch or 20-inch by 20-inch by 1-inch filter, 3M, and she got 190 counts per minute. Up close to it, 4 feet away, she got 30. And 55 is an evacuation zone. Germany only allows 5 becquerels a kilogram in your food. That's after an emergency. And not for imports or something like that, right? So let me kill that one that we got going here. The Adobe. I can't actually kill that Adobe. Let me scroll down here. I'll be right with everybody. Back on schedule. We got a really good show for everybody today. Crazy show. Good morning, everybody. I'm Thirst. Shoni. Elaine. Thanks for that one. Okay, here we go. And it's the morning of, we can look at the computer, May the 12th, even though I do stream every day, 2016. I'm Dana Durnford, your host, NuclearProctologist.org, and you can find these videos and Fukushima presentations live throughout the internet. I'm sorry, throughout the internet, and live at Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube. And today we got a stupidly good show again for everybody. We got some follows up from yesterday's telephone calls, and we got video from Tepco. We got some more videos of nuclear experts, and I know because no matter what I say, no matter what I show in my videos, I show the evidence, I show the documentation, I show everything else. That doesn't seem to matter to my opponents. It only matters what somebody else says about me. It doesn't matter what I show in the documentations. Apparently, nobody knows why with these people. That doesn't matter. All that matters is that somebody said I was a bastard, or I was this, or I was that, and therefore, what's your response, Dana? My response is nobody challenges the documentation. What you're looking at over here, that's Unit 3. I'm going to play the video for you from Tepco. But I want you to consider before we start this. Now that's what the Unit 3 looks like. You can see the fuel pulls up at the roof to your left, and the one to your right is a holding pull, transfer pull. But that one is also kept full all the time too. The reactor, the top of the reactor, the very top of the building there, you can see a like kind of a cap. That's the big yellow cap that's for the torus, right? For the reactor core. It's also at the top of the building. Now these buildings are 10 feet and 10 feet. Now you see what they're doing with the Muon device. We're going to play that clip here in a second. But now look at that building. At the top of the building are the fuel pools. And we're going to play Tepco's video for you and blah, blah, blah. And 2 Tepco videos and a couple more videos coming up really quick. But now, this is what they say about Unit 3. Look at this. This is Unit 3. There is no top to the building, and the reactor core right there is split. 2/3 of the reactor core is missing right in that picture there, because when you look at the height of what I was just showing you, we'll come back to that in a second. That's Reactor 3. You can see the fuel pools at the roof are long gone. They're long gone. Very, very long time. Very long time. Very long gone. 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 No, gone. No, they're not at the roof anywhere. I don't see them at the roof anywhere. Sorry. Gone. Gone. No matter how you look at that building, the only conclusion you come up with Well, something really freaking weird must have happened there, like that. Did that make any sense to anybody? That maybe everything is missing there because that happened to it? You know, it's just a... I know, Dana, come on, Dana, the buildings are indestructible, Dana. I get that part, but let's listen to Tepco tell their version of it and why I insist they should get a Grammy. Or an Emmy, rather. Give them a Grammy after you get that. This is Tepco's video. Don't blame me for the music. Don't blame me for that voice that you're going to hear. The nuclear proctologist would never create something like this for anybody. It sounded like that. And I play guitar, like I showed you earlier at the beginning. But I got no idea why anybody... Anyway, let's go. Stop. Good morning, everybody. Let's keep this rocking. With an X-ray. Okay.
The reactor in units 1 to 3 of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant were severely damaged when their cooling systems shut down after a tsunami struck the plant in 2011.
Now count the floors in the building. You see the first cement floor, and then the second floor, and the third floor at the bottom of the pool, and a fifth floor kind of at the bottom of the pool to your right hand side. And the very top of the center is the torus of the building. That's important because I'm going to show you this stuff later. And this is for reactor 1, 2, and 3 that they're talking about, but it also includes reactor 4, 5, and 6, if you happen to look at those two, right? This is the same model.
As a result, the fuel rods inside melted and fell to the bottom of the reactor.
Okay. I'm going to split that right there. I'll move the first part so I can get back. Now that's what he's talking about there. See, it's all gone. Where he says it's going to melt down, that part is missing. Did anybody bother to tell him, I wonder? That was a 10-story building. And nobody knows, apparently, that it looks like that. Only that's the official pictures. But don't tell Tepco. Don't tell Tepco this happened to the building they're talking about, because they'll kick and scream and cry.
Removal of this melted fuel is a crucial part of the plant's decommissioning, and a key requirement is to locate the debris inside the reactor. So far, many attempts have been made to understand.
Now, the reason the robots are dying are not from gamma and beta and alpha. They're dying from X-rays and neutrons. And so gammas and betas and alphas are the particles, the atoms, and everything else. And the X-rays and the neutrons is this energy, this monster that we've created on this planet that doesn't exist in the capacity anywhere else in the solar system, that we fudged the technology and created our own supernovas, basically.
Conditions inside the reactor.
But they don't create the same elements we get from the sun. They create a totally different element. It's completely different. That's why we call them man-made. Keep going.
But the radiation level is too high for
it's not radiation, it's the X-rays. Because if they
address
told you it was the X-rays and the neutrons inside, then they have to admit that the building doesn't look like that. See? You get that part?
Tepco will use a technology that employs muon cosmic ray particles to capture an image of the reactor's interior.
Now the next video we're going to play by Tepco is going to explain the reactors a bit more better. But this is the way I decided to start off.
Muons are subatomic particles that can penetrate.
I got no idea where the sound went that time. Sound just faded right out for some reason. And it shouldn't have a... So hang on. So I must have clicked it or something. So the muons are not going to go through something that's not there. The muons are not going to get, did we all lose our audio that time or something? Muons are not going to get through something that doesn't exist, are they not? How can they get through something that doesn't exist?
Removal of this melted fuel is a crucial part of the plant's decommissioning, and a key requirement is to locate the debris inside the reactor. So far, many attempts have been made to understand conditions inside the reactor, but the radiation level is too high for human beings to go inside. To address the issue, Tepco will use a technology that employs muon cosmic ray particles to capture an image of the reactor's interior. Muons are subatomic particles that can penetrate most objects easily.
Now, how can they come out and show you recently at Tepco's website? That was just in the less than 8 months ago they showed you this. That doesn't exist. See, the building doesn't exist. But this is what they're propagating out here.
But are blocked by heavy substances like concrete and uranium.
If it was there.
It is believed that these particles can be used to see inside the reactor, much like an X-ray. A muon detection device was set up next to the Unit 1 reactor to test the technology for the first time.
Yeah, Unit 1.
The device converts muons into electric signals for collection as image data.
The pictures I'm using as an example for Unit 3, right?
An analysis of the findings is scheduled to be completed by the end of March.
Because he starts off by saying 1, 2, and 3 look like that. But Unit 1 got the top was missing where the fuel pool was, right? That was destroyed, and I'll show you those pictures coming up.
We are planning a second test at Unit 2 in the near future, using another method of muon technology.
That's if they're actually on Fukushima website.
Collaborate with domestic
the plates on the ground
experts
is a good indication. Could be
what is happening inside the reactor
shelter
core.
From the neutrons underneath it. Okay. So here's the fuel. The time of fuel rods coming up next one. I'll just jump right into it.
Preparations are being made to begin fuel removal from the Unit 3 reactor during the 2017 fiscal year. There are 566 fuel rods in the Unit 3 spent fuel pool.
Boom. Now first off, look at the picture of January, then look at the picture with the 566. Right? They're not the same buildings, okay? They're the same buildings. But Tepco tells you it looks like the one on the right. The fuel rods are over in the top right-hand corner, but they're also in the left-hand corner too. But 566 fuel rods. Each reactor has 3,450 assemblies. Each assembly is 80 rods. That's 282,000 rods, not 566. And every 2 years it goes up on the roof. 280,000 rods up on the roof every 2 years for 40 years. But magically, they only got 566 rods. And magically, the roof is there. And they're talking about Unit 3. You can see in the far corner, January. But the rods are there in top of a building that don't exist in their own picture, on their own website, on their YouTube videos. What part about that? I'm losing my audio for some reason. I think I need a new set of headphones. Hello, check. Mic check. I can see my meters flying over there, but when I'm playing the videos, I want to be able to hear it. Can't hear nothing hardly out of that one. Let's try that one. Okay, let's keep going. Yummy. So, let me chop the video right here. First off, let me get a screen grab of that one. For a reader. He's such a good looking screen grab, that fella. Chop it right there so I can find it after. Nobody knows what I got done now.
Preparations are being made.
Oh. Gotta get rid of that first one. Remove. There we go, now it works for me. Okay, so see the 566 fuel rods that they emit to out of the Probably a couple of million rods up there. No, there's only 566 rods, Dana. Yeah, but there's 80 rods in assembly. There's 3,450 assemblies. I lost my audio totally on this one. Just more money you got to burn to get another set. Okay. Oh, now it works again. See, it's this one here is where I got to get it, the little Dremel and saw it apart and see if I can fix it first. Here we go. See where there's 566 rods in the right-hand corner or two? Right there, huh? And you see the farthest over. Well, think about those 566 rods in their official pictures. Can't be in that building. But here's another look at the buildings. See, there's no top there for the 566 rods. And 2/3 of the building is missing. So half the reactor core was missing. So how could it melt down when it got blown out, right? And we know it got blown out. Just look at the building. But Tepco, oh no, they're up by the fuel pool. It's up on the roof, all the buildings. Dana, your conspiracy theories saying the fuel rods are missing from the top of the buildings. I mean, I've been demonized. I've been attacked like you can't even imagine over me saying that the fuel rods are in the top of the building. But Tepco's allowed to say it. The nuclear experts out on the planet, they're allowed to come out and say the fuel rods are on the top, but Dana better not friggin' say that. Hang on. Horace Lacey. This was done on the 18th.
Want to get more analysis now because I'm joined again by our guest Ian Hoare-Lacey of the World Nuclear Association.
Then it has appeared that the used fuel pools up near the top of the buildings.
Huh. Did he say they were up near the top of the... You cookie conspiracy theorists!
That is now moving, which indicate
that would mean
the damaged cores of these reactors, the meltdowns themselves, are now contributing to the contamination of the Pacific Ocean and groundwater that's moving at about a rate of 300 to 400 metric tons.
Okay, let me put it this way to you. If you were sitting on the top of the building and that happened to the building, where would you end up to? Would you end up in the fuel pool? Huh? Would you? You should go see your psychiatrist. You obviously missed a few appointments. Yeah. Dana said you missed a few appointments. That's what you tell the doctor when you get there, okay? Okay. So if I was on the top of that roof, and now the towers are 600 feet apart, look at that. There'd be an arm and a leg and missing and blah, blah, blah. How about if we go with Tepco's official version, that up near the top, they're going to get the fuel rods out of a building that blew up and now don't exist. That's why they should get a Grammy. Am I wrong in saying that? Am I a bad person for saying that Tepco's lying? Huh? Are people... Is the people who posted these official pictures on the internet at Tepco's website, did they Photoshop these pictures just to have a game with Tepco? Is that Photoshopped? Is that Photoshopped? Dina, you Photoshopped it, Dina. There's the fuel pool to your left of that, right? See that? Let me bring it up. I like it. That was pretty. Let's do it again. Okay, 1,000 feet after the 600. The towers are, can't remember, 400 feet high. To your left there, you see those big chunks that time? Hang on, we'll do it again. But you can see a chunk to the... I screwed that one up. Excuse me. I'll just manipulate it myself. See the big dark things, chunks like falling? That's your fuel pool and your reactor core. Right? Yeah. Not looking good for Tepco's Grammy. See, I got a lot of problems because we're talking about something real scary. We're talking about something that is devastating.
The fuel removal work will be done.
Unless you're listening to Tepco's music, and that sounds pretty cool.
To move the rock.
But I mean, you got the picture on the left-hand side in January. They put a sarcophagus around, and now the building's like gorgeous. Just wonder brothers. So, see the 566. See the fuel pool on the other side. Well, they're gone, obviously. Reactor core is almost at the top of the building. The Taurus, the yellow Taurus. Let's go show you where one of the yellow Taurus for Unit 4 ended up. Right there. But if you were to zoom in on that Taurus, it's not. That's not the top of the building. That's where it fell. That's where it landed. When you zoom in on it, all those bolts there, they're all broken and twisted. And if they took that off there, everybody out there would say, "Oh my God, they removed the Taurus from the reactor." The cover from the reactor. See, but the reactor cover happened to land back there. That's all. And look at the sides. That's Unit 4. Look at the sides of it. But here it was before. Right? Yeah. Then they done that to it. Then they done that to it. And then Tepco come out and said it looked like that. Don't believe me? Here's Tepco 5 weeks ago at the Washington Press Club. And all the journalists are, like, if you watch the whole presentation after you finish puking, you'll see all the journalists just pinching themselves how funny it is. Here's Tepco telling you inside of that it looks like that. Here we go, let's play that video.
And Fukushima Daiichi stage, right after the accident, it was of course the emergency condition. But right now, gradually became the decommissioning stage, more stable decommissioning stage. And that's that, as I mentioned, the successful completion of the dismantle of the spent fuel from the Unit 4. It's about 1533 bundle from the Unit 4. And we carefully manipulate the machine and successfully removed those fuel to the ground located pool.
They should call it the blind pool, where everybody looks at it becomes blind after. It's the blind pool. That looks. They took that. I mean, he says it's inside of that is gradually. Now it's like that Wonderbox. And even Seth Dorn, they done such a good job. Seth Dorn went down and took a tour. CBS faked a video. Faked it. He was walking around. See that? And he even says, "There I am." He done the whole documentary. Go watch it. Seth Dorn. And then there's Miles O'Brien done the same thing where they walk around, they both got a chest x-ray.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest x-ray.
At the end of his green screen, that's how green screen works, right? You see Hollywood, they use it all the time, right? I'm using it right now. That desk sitting in front of me doesn't exist. Don't believe me? Uncovered Dana without a green screen. It was horrible, man. He looked like he was human, man. Here I am. I'm sitting behind a desk. See my reflection on the desk. Is that not cool? No? You don't think that's fake? Now I gotta get that. I gotta drag that little pencil up to my screen. I gotta tune it a little tiny bit. Right there. Adjust my color. Dana, come back, Dana. Oh my God, Dana's gone. Whoa, yeah. Okay. That's not quite. I have it. -5. I'm a -5. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's how a green screen works. And that's what Mr. Seth Solis Dorn was doing.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
I remember. You got a chest X-ray. If he was at Reactor 4, then he would have been in there. Right? But he's part of Tepco. He was sitting on the stage when Tepco, right? He was sitting on that stage when Tepco said Unit 4. When Tepco showing that, and Seth Dorn was there, or Miles O'Brien was there. Rather, that's it. But Miles done the same thing. I got to play that now because I said it that way. Hang on. Miles O'Brien. This is just a short one.
Before we left, they carefully scanned all of us and checked the dosimeters that we carried along the way. During our 4.5-hour tour, we absorbed as much radiation as we would have in a single chest X-ray.
I mean, the one-armed bandit, he lost his arm in Japan, but nobody knows for sure because he hid away for 2 weeks after he lost his arm. He ended up in the Philippines. So very suspect. I say the Yakuza's chopped his arm off to get hold of footage that he had that he was going to use to blackmail them with. Should have just thrown him in a car and off a cliff and say he had an accident. No one would have missed him. No one would have investigated it. It just Seth, right? No one cares about Seth Dorn. Or Miles O'Brien. Or Seth Dorn, for that matter. Okay, let's play. There's 2 minutes of this video left. Dana won't give it up, so let's keep playing that. Let me make a phone call.
The fuel removal work will be done to move the rods from the damaged building to a secure location in another building for storage and management. One milestone that has already been achieved is that the largest rubble...
Now you can imagine the release is created from that. This was mixed oxide fuel. This reactor is 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. This is Reactor 3. This was reclaimed uranium and plutonium from nuclear missiles that had already gone through a chain reaction and were unstable because of that, and were extraordinarily dangerous because they were put through a chain reaction again. So they were billions of times, to about 2 billion times more dangerous compared to the stuff that comes out of a chain reaction of an everyday reactor, because it already went through a chain reaction once. See? That's what makes it so dangerous.
Was already removed from the spent fuel pool in August 2015.
It was removed from the spent fuel pool.
Decontamination and rubble removal work is currently being done on the top floor of the reactor building.
Well, that's where the reactor pools are to, and the reactor core is at the very top of the building too. Just below the top of the building, like I showed you earlier. Like all the experts tell you.
In the future, shielding will be carried out to reduce radiation
This is the fable.
And the fuel removal cover and handling equipment will be installed around the first half of fiscal 2016.
This is the fable. I turned it down a little bit. Construction steps is something that don't exist. They say they're not going to do that now because we blew the lid off their story, literally and figuratively. It's a pretty good fable, though, eh? And what they've done was they have other sites where they go there and they build it with the workers.
The fuel removal cover and handling equipment is currently located in Ona.
So why are they spending all this money on fuel removal equipment and all that stuff that you were just looking at?
The fuel removal work will be done to move the rods from the damaged Hama, Iwaki City in Fukushima.
Right. So why are they doing that over there when the building actually looks like that? Right. So why are they burning all that money on something that doesn't exist for that capacity? They should be building it to accommodate that specifically, not that fable that they're telling you right here. This is why we're never going to get a resolution to this. This is why we already lost the Pacific Ocean and the Pacific coastline, the Pacific Rim nations to this. It's because they won't give up the law. It needs 1 million gallons a minute, right? Here's a news clip for you. Right after one of the first reports that came out, Canadian scientists.
So what they're trying to do right now is to keep the pumps going. There are several problems with this. First of all, none of the emergency standby generators worked, so they had to use a battery, but the battery is only able to keep the pumps going for about 4 hours. So they need to get backup electricity. Another problem is the outside water.
Well, the batteries for the gauges, not the pumps.
Is so muddy, it's so choked up with mud that it's very difficult to use the outer water for cooling without clogging up the machinery. So
that doesn't exist because it all blew up.
They're having a lot of difficulty in just keeping that fuel from reaching dangerous levels of melting levels.
Okay, Dawi, I did see some reports that apparently the U.S. was flying in
right away,
coolant. I mean, I'm not sure.
They're going to fly in? Yeah, Tepco was flying in, I'll tell you, if I remember correctly, in helicopters. There were 600 pilots in Chernobyl died. Hang on, I'll come right back to that one. Americans going to fly in water.
It was heroism.
600 pilots.
During this operation, 600 pilots are fatally contaminated with radiation. All of them will die. But their efforts only buy a few days.
They were dropping boric acid and lead on it. They all died, 600. You won't see that in the official reports, will you? How come? How come this creepy, disgusting maggot known as Unsclear has this much authority over everybody's life in these different countries? And they're on the same board as IAEA, and they're on the exact same board as ERPA. They're on the exact same boards as the American and Canadian regulatory agencies. They're the same fucking people. Telling you lie after lie after lie. But 1 million gallons a minute can't come up.
How quickly that can get there, but how problematic is, getting the coolant from elsewhere and getting it as fast as you're describing it's needed?
I'm not sure what the coolant actually refers to. It may be to replace the muddy water which is fouled up, but
Your robots are dying. How are you going to get in and replace anything, see? He didn't know that at the time.
From the outside, under normal operation, they need up to 1 million gallons a minute of water to condense the steam back, to turn the steam back into a liquid.
Yeah, they need 1 million gallons a minute, and you can't get your 1 million gallons a minute even if you got all the power and electricity in the world when it looks like that. That's Unit 3. And you can't get power into something that doesn't exist when it detonated, can you? Am I missing something here? You got to realize the tsunami came through the country. You got to realize the country shook for 6 minutes straight, and that these buildings already had the Wegener effect. And so they were severely damaged at this point because they're 40 years old, and they've been storing all that reactor fuel on the roof, even though Tepco says it's 600 fuel rods up on the roof. But the reactors hold 282,000 every 2 years for 40 fucking years. And it has to go on the roof for 10 years. Every 2 years they put it up there. That's why these buildings are 10 stories. This is Unit 1. The fuel pools are long gone. This is Unit 2. We know they're gone. Now they admit that. That's Unit 3, and that's Unit 4. And so these models of the disposition, these are real, but they're only based upon a couple of days' releases from this reactor. They don't include anything from that reactor, nothing from that reactor, and nothing from that reactor. But they show a cloud spreading from one end of the Pacific to the other end and across the continents within a couple of days. That never stopped coming out of there. And even if it did, it still coated your entire country. And xenon, who cares? It's just tracers. Anything you see considered a tracer. Everything else is there. And in enormous amounts of it, because you have enormous amounts just in the fuel pools that don't exist. Not counting the common pools that were on the ground and disappeared, full of millions of pounds. And we got Seth Dorn saying he's inside of a building that don't exist. You got Digital Deception showing you that stuff. You got Miles O'Brien. You got Tepco out faking the picture, saying that the reactor survived when everything else around it was swept away. Right? Everything was swept away and destroyed. You couldn't get power back in if you wanted it. Not that it mattered. But see, all that damage, well, that's killed all the people. That's why she looks like that. See? Because the red is the people that were found and the yellow are missing. And then that's where the reactors were too. And they were chewed up, no different, right? Because they were hit. Look at the power throughout the place. But look at the actual picture of the building. Realize the fact that it detonated. and realised that Tepco's still out there claiming, along with Seth Dorn and Miles O'Brien. I'll move him over a little closer. Let's play the whole video with Seth Dorn, because I really do it. Let's play that whole video, Seth Dorn at Unit 4. Put that baby to sleep. Because like I showed you pictures of Unit 4 one more time. Now Seth Dorn is going to tell you he's inside of this building here that looked like that before they got it to that point. That wasn't... You would kill 1 million homeless trying to do that. They ran out of homeless. Went from that to that to that. Now here's Seth Dorn full video. And it's 3 minutes and 17 seconds long. Then we're going to make a phone call after.
A rare look inside the damaged nuclear plant in Fukushima, Japan. Nearly 3 years after the earthquake and tsunami, the plant is still emitting radiation and likely will be for years. Seth Dorn went inside to see the painstaking cleanup.
3 miles from the plant, roads are still closed. Radiation levels here soar 100 times higher than normal. To protect ourselves from radiation, we suited up like the 4,300 decontamination workers here. Once this was the heart of a radioactive no-go zone. Now it's safe enough to spend a few hours inside.
The building on the left, it is a Unit 4.
Tepco, the company that owns the crippled plant, is still struggling to deal with the disaster. All 4 reactors are still emitting radiation, but Tepco has made some progress.
This is what Tepco wants us to see, the heart of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
Following the earthquake and tsunami in 2011, a hydrogen explosion tore off the roof of this reactor.
At the time, Reactor 4 was not in use, but that explosion sent debris and chunks of concrete into this pool where the nuclear fuel was being stored.
We were able to watch the delicate and dangerous work of removing some of the 1,500 radioactive fuel rod assemblies. If the rods break, they could release more radioactive gases.
I've read an analogy that this is like removing a cigarette from a crushed pack.
Take that analogy, Tepco engineer Masayuki Ono told us, and imagine that it's like the cigarette in that box is lit.
So you're saying it's even more difficult than that?
I think so.
Ono told us they've removed 15% of the fuel from Reactor 4, but it will be far more difficult to retrieve fuel from 3 other reactors that melted down. Those are so radioactive that the technology to dismantle them does not exist yet. Tepco injects hundreds of tons of water daily into the reactors to keep them cool, but groundwater is pouring into the damaged reactors and has to be pumped out and stored.
They can't build these tanks fast enough. An additional 400 tons of contaminated water needs to be stored every day. That's as much water as the average American household uses in a year.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest X-ray.
Seth is in our Tokyo newsroom tonight. Seth, what's it going to take to clean this up?
Well, quite a bit of time, Scott. The cleanup operation is underway 24 hours a day. It's projected to cost upwards of $100 billion and could take as many as 40 years to complete.
Seth Dorn, thank you, sir.
40 years? To do what? To do what? What do you need 5,000 workers? What are they doing all day long? What the fuck could they possibly be doing all day long? How can you even consider there's 5,000 people at that plant? The experts are now saying there's 7,000 people at the plant. What the fuck are they doing? What are they doing? What? What the fuck is 4,000 people doing at that plant every day? What the fuck are they doing there? Tell us. Let's hear it. Let's see a list. Let me fucking see some videos. Let me see them all fucking waving in front of the Unit 3 or something. How the fuck can you say there's 4,000 people at a plant? What are they doing? Oh, there's 4,000 people there, 24 hours a day. Doing what? Doing what? What? Doing what? That's why I don't play the clip very often, because I get pissy. We'll eat something. Okay, let's keep going. Let's make a phone call for something to do. Now, I contacted the funeral home for Jeff Palco. I don't know what that's all about. Jeff Palco was the guy who donated a Zodiac to the Fukushima Expedition for Life. And he's been used, which is what I ran, 5 expeditions on the coastline of British Columbia. And this person had committed suicide on December 24, 2014. Now, so far, there's no plot, and there's no obituary or anything else. It was originally. This was the link to it from the stories about it. And connecting dots 2, connecting dots 3, connecting dots is known as also as Louis L'Amour, a.k.a. Louis L'Amour. And we called him up the other day, and he was extremely arrogant and vicious, and had the contempt in that video he had for me, this hatred, outright rage against me, is very frightening. And so I think he killed Jeff Palco, and he hacked the site and put it up there. We're going to call up the funeral home again. I got another video that I shot yesterday afternoon. I called them, they didn't return. And so let's jump over to, let's confirm now this is their website when we talk to them. Where's my phone? I called him yesterday. I was on a phone call yesterday, if I remember correctly, so that number should be sitting on my top. Now the trick is I got to keep my vocals low when I'm doing this, so it's not too loud on your end. Here we go. Let's do that. I'll move the camera over. Hang on. Let's move the camera over first so that you can see me. And the microphone is up here. I'm not going to pull it down because it makes a lot of racket if I do that on your end. Not that that matters. Okay, so let's try this. Dum, dum, dum. Here we go. That's kind of awkward looking. That's the way it is. I can't move the camera. Oh yeah, I can't. Hang on. Let's move the camera back because it's a little weird looking. Move me over. Hopefully that works for everybody. 44 minutes into the stream, if anybody wants to remember to get back to this point so they can watch it later. Beautiful Girl by Dana. So 21 hours ago they were supposed to phone me back, and I know they got a rough job, so let's try to go as easy as we can.
Edenbrook Memorial Gardens, Tammy speaking. How may I direct your call?
Yes, to the cemetery, please.
This is the cemetery office. How can I help you?
Hi, it's Dana Durnford. I called twice yesterday, and I was trying to find a plot. Is this Edenbrook Memorial Gardens and Funeral Home?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You do have a website called that, right? Called abmemorial.ca. Does that make sense to you?
Memorial, yeah.
Okay, that's your website. So you have a Jeff Palco listed on your website?
Oh, you know what? I was talking to the rep that has information for you. However, she is not in at the moment.
Okay.
She did say that she will contact you.
Okay. Good stuff.
She gets back.
Alrighty. Good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll let you go.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. Okay. And so they can't find a plot. When I was talking to her in the video yesterday, she said she wasn't at her desk, but she was asking me how to spell his name leading up to that. I can play the video when we get the rest of the documentation. I'll bring out that other video of that short 2 or 3 minute video. And So it looks like Jeff Palco, we'll find out for sure, but it's appearing that Jeff Palco doesn't exist. And it appears that this was a scam ran by the industry. And if Jeff Palco is not dead, and this is all somebody doing something to get at us, how come he hasn't come out and defended the fact that he's not dead? And so that would, if it turns out he hasn't got a plaque there, we'll contact the registry in Alberta tomorrow during a live stream. I'll have their numbers ready. And we'll see if he's registered, buried somewhere else in the province. And if not, then we go to the RCMP and we file, well, you know, he could have been kidnapped by Louis L'Amour, or he could have been killed by Louis L'Amour. Louis L'Amour was trying to get him to give him my boat that was donated to the expedition, which is the most bizarre thing imaginable. Why I was on the ocean on the expedition. And it was 4 months later, after his suicide, that I finally came ashore. He died when I was on the ocean, but I'm blamed for killing him by this person who claims he's just an average person known as Connecting Dots 2, Connecting Dots 3, and Silver Gold Man. And so he's not worried about Fukushima, he's more worried about silver and gold. So we took a boat, and I'll bring that up for you to explain it to you. We took this boat coming up, and we got the whole of the boat. We built the cabin and everything else, the extra motors and the Zodiacs and all the funding to run the whole operation for 260 days. And what we done was we went through the entire coastline of Canada for 260 days. And now I dove this coastline, both coastlines of Canada, for 14,000 hours, and I ran over a dozen commercial dive boats just in British Columbia alone. So this is from the top of the Queen Charlotte, the Haida Gwaii, formerly known as Queen Charlotte Islands. And all the arrows are representations of areas that we stayed. And I spent up to 5 months without coming home. And the beaches were naked up there when we know they looked like that pre-Fukushima. Now pre-Fukushima, these pictures are well known. And everybody traveled all over the world to go to this spot. Now it's naked. Now you will starve to death there. And when normally every millimeter was jostling, you would be able to feed an army there anywhere you went. Now this whole area, because this is the back of an island where it's a pinch point and there's so much water running through there constantly, it was just an abundance, an amazing amount of life there. It's extraordinarily well known. And there's no industry anywhere to be found. Now it's all missing. Everything is missing. See, the 5 million other species didn't receive the coastline. But while I was out doing all of that, they were trying to take away the boat, and then apparently somebody allegedly committed suicide. Then I was blamed for that and demonized for it in the media constantly for going out and looking at the coastline for 260 days and looking for the life that I'm so used to and that I coveted so much. And now everything there is gone. But this was an extraordinarily well-known place. The pictures of it, Louise Narrows and Haida Gwaii, formerly known as the Queen Charlotte Islands, are very well-known, very visible. An amazing smorgasbord of life, no matter how you try to look at it. It was incredible. It was unbelievable, unimaginable, inconceivable. It was just calming. It just grounded you with reality. This is what I'm used to, being careful because it's so slippery to come ashore. And every rock on the shoreline, you know, would have these on it. And you get up to 500 of them per square meter throughout the entire coastline. Now they're completely gone. Now there's only 1 or 2 algae, less than 100 species throughout the whole coastline when you added it all up. But the average place on the coastline had maybe 5 to 10, some places 1 or 2. If they disappeared, there'd be nothing there. It'd be like that. Like there's 1 or 2 species there, but they literally in a picture it looks like a moon rock. But I did see incredible. Now I dove the whole coastline. I worked this whole coastline year after year after year, up to 315 days a year, on the ocean, in the ocean, boat oceans in Canada. I grew up. You know, we had no automobiles. All I knew was the ocean. From a history of people, that's all they knew was the ocean. Most of them never ever sat in a car, never seen a car. Pure fishermen in a little tiny community. And so I was at touch with Mother Nature, and I spent my whole life in that, most of my life in that environment. And so what they were trying to do was control me, right? That's what it's looking like is happening. And so they freaked out when they realized that I took a little shell and built a boat out of it, and that I was going to do the whole coastline and end up doing the whole coastline. And so they tried to use the boat and continue to try to use the boat to demonize me and claim that the boat is the issue, not the extinction event on the coastline of Canada. Not the fact that the 4.2 million other species. And then demonize the very person who put together the entire operation and took the beating every day, non-stop, the verbal diarrhea, the salacious attacks, the arrest, the vilification in the media. And I can take all of that, and it's a lot to take, trust me. But I can take all of that and show up every day and blog because I'm showing you the documentation, I'm showing you information, I'm bringing you the experts, I'm begging to be left alone by the industry because they got no one else to target. There's no one else that's a threat to them on this planet at all. And that might sound pompous to you, I'm sure, and it sounds pompous to me, don't get me wrong. But I've been singled out as enemy number one. And anybody deny that? Like, when you look at the history of what has been done to me, the prosecution of Dana Durnford TheNuclearProctologist.org, it should bring great shame on everybody who sat by and allowed that to happen to me. And that's not the Hounds. The Hounds supported me and made sure, at great expense and cost and humility to all of them, to fund that operation and see it through. I wouldn't come back. I stayed on the ocean. I just wouldn't come home until the trip was done, until we'd done the entire coastline. Because I was there. I knew the birds were missing. I knew the insects were missing. I knew that the high tide fauna and flora and animals and invertebrates and everything else, the 6,500 invertebrates in the tidal zone were all gone. See, I was able to understand that right away, but I understood I had to do the whole coastline before I can say something so horrible, before I can say something so dramatic, before I can say, okay, well, this is the focus for here on out, because there cannot be anything more important, because we are on a clock, and that clock is running out. And we know that. We see the extinction event and how all the birds and the whales and mammals have one thing in common: they all starved to death. And how all the ice is missing from the glacier, like the old ice, the ice pack itself, the 5,000-year-old ice is missing symmetrically throughout the mountains of British Columbia. And we went out to Alberta on a very tiny budget, and we confirmed that it was missing out there, but we do need to go out and do a better job of it. We know that 3,000 polar bears in Antarctica are emaciated 3 years in a row. And we know examples from other countries of the emaciated polar bears. And the urgency is real. What is happening to us is we are sleepwalking because media has been taken over, and our politics and our government and our justice system has been influenced so dramatically by this prevalent nuclear industry for 70 years of bananas, potato chips, and walking in the sunshine and getting on airplanes. And they have amassed so much power and influence and have captured our universities and our medias and our reporters and our journalists and our business owners to the extent where our country now is destroying itself, and we are destroying ourselves by allowing that to happen, by allowing these people to prosecute the one person on the planet who works tirelessly 24 hours a day to document this, who went out on the ocean for 260 days and done everything imaginable to get the documentation against every odd imaginable, against this whole operation trying to defund me and destroy me on top of that. And we only scratched through because a few people in particular that kept throwing money at it till it was done, because they understood the significance. And, you know, it's such a humbling position to be in, my position. And it's there's such an onus on me because of what people have done to see this through. There's so much weight on my shoulders to do more, to realize the dream of telling the truth and dealing with it, rather than like Tepco's videos earlier where they show you these perfectly intact buildings, and Seth Dorn and Miles O'Brien showing you these perfectly intact buildings and being aggregated out with the spider bots to all the mainstream media websites where everybody's feeding off of that and attacking us because they watch Miles O'Brien and Seth Dorn and people like that, and Tepco at the press club, and the journalist there goes out and writes that without even looking at the original picture and saying, you know, I can't run it because I can't prove it. I'm not going to say nothing about it. I'm not going to come in and say yes, no. I'm just not going to run it because I can't prove it. Not even that. My site is full of pictures, the official pictures, like I showed you earlier, right? And we're here with a Jeff Palco who donated a Zodiac, but I'm responsible for his suicide. And that this person connecting dots figures that Jeff Palco should have gave him the boat when he don't even know how to run a boat, let alone go down to the coastline and take pictures and post them. He can't do anything like that, but yet he was determined while I was on the ocean to steal a boat away from me. Can you imagine how bizarre that is? How out of touch with reality that whole conversation was. And so when I was on the ocean, Jeff Palco was communicating with the Fukushima Hounds, my support group, through emails because I allowed him into the group. So they put their trust in him. But I got those emails where he's constantly talking about how he might give the boat to Dots. But the boat is in my name. It's donated as part of a project. It's never been heard of before that somebody says, well, you know, you're out on the ocean getting samples, but the samples don't exist, so now you're documenting the coastline. That's not good enough. I want the boat back. I want samples of something that don't exist. He never said that. I've talked to him on the phone over and over. He's never said he was going to take a boat back. I would have told him, fuck off, right on the spot. I did say you can have the boat back when the expeditions were over, out of the kindness of my heart, but under all the attacks I was under, that didn't change. Under the insults that he threw at me and the things he done at me at the very end of it, I still maintained that he could have the boat back when the expeditions were over. But he phoned me up and told me he didn't want the boat back just before I went on the last expedition, right? See, but it doesn't matter that I said I would give a boat, not necessarily back to him, but he can, in that context, that doesn't matter. The boat was donated to me, to the operation. So why was connecting dots thinking that he should have a boat that was donated to me? See, that should raise your suspicion is all I'm saying. How can somebody else on the internet even consider doing something like that? So if somebody donated something, a boat to Greenpeace, should connecting dots try to go get that boat off Greenpeace? Try to get the person who donated to Greenpeace to take it back and give it to Dots. Well, that's what they done to me. And what they done was they posted those videos 4 times a day with salacious headlines and starts out the conversation by saying I killed Jeff Palco, that I show you don't exist, that we call a funeral home repeatedly, no one knows who the fuck he is, but he only died a year and a half ago. And so it looks like an intelligent operation with the nuclear industry combination to wreck people like me and Thomas Ackerman included, and Kevin Blanche, Miss Melky and Rad Chick were all implicated because they supported me. So they were dragged down because Dana killed Jeff Palco. But Dana was on the ocean for 5 months. And Kate phoned me up on the ocean and said Jeff Palco had died. And I said to Kate, who was his father, who was his loved one? She said, what are you talking about? I said, what were the names of his bereaved family? She said, there's no one there. So go look up obituary. She looked it up and I said, oh, I got it. She said, Dana's nothing there. I said, look, call me back, call up the funeral home and ask them what plot he's going to be in. And she said, they don't know who he is. She called me back and said, they don't know who he is. That's Kate at the Fukushima Hounds. And I done that yesterday and I done it this morning. I done it twice yesterday. I done it before myself, but I done it during the live stream. Just like I called Dot up during the live stream last week, right? And that's up at livestream.com because, or that's, no, I'm sorry, that's here on Beautiful Girl by Dana. But it's just this, I show you all the documentations. I show you the reactor pools are at the fucking roof. They're at the fucking roof. Right out of their mouths, experts over and 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 over. But I'm the bad fucking person. Somehow. And that the people that are lying to you and telling you that they're getting the fuel rods out of number 4, David Suzuki to name a few, they're the good people. They're the people we put on the pedestal. They're the people we're going to pump out there. They're the people we should adorn. They're the people we should donate to. What are you, fucking mentally ill? Have you lost touch with reality? You can't investigate the evidence I'm showing you any better than what I'm showing you. On top of that, you can't go out and find all the experts I've dragged in there, I bet you. Let me explain another aspect of this. Now, this is Bloomberg right after the accident. And now you see the one at the top says 4 years, but it was March the 14th. It was originally recorded, but it was posted a year later. Thank goodness. Because there's something happened at Bloomberg. They posted all of those clips that were 4 years old. March the 23rd, 2012. But March the 11th onwards for that week, see, Barrett says Fukushima crisis not a health risk. And we played some of that yesterday. We played Hora Lacey this morning and yesterday. We played no health concerns from Hora Lacey. Barrett says Fukushima crisis not a health catastrophe. Niven says meltdown of Fukushima plant is unlikely. But all of them are the experts, the top of the line, number one on the planet people, that were setting your policies your whole lifetime. These are the leaders in your government. These are the people your Congress turned to. And I got just endless amounts of these people. It's just inconceivable amount of these people. Write the clips and everything else that I can play for you if I wanted to. But we got an inconceivable, unimaginable amount of experts that come out and told us it was harmless. Yeah, there's radiation, but it's not going to harm you as long as you move away. As soon as they got numbers coming from somewhere, they showed up and said, hey, there's no problem. But Bloomberg's staff, the Bloomberg's news staff, the Bloomberg reporters, these fucking people are awesome. These people were burning these mouthpieces at the stake. These wonderful souls that you're looking at just in, these people pounded the guts out of the nuclear experts. They said, well, he found it in Tokyo food and water. When do you think, in your opinion, that'll actually be there when they already found it there? Right? They done that with Lake Barrett. Lake still wouldn't admit that it was there. Yeah, but it's like iodine. It'll be gone in 8 days, kind of, right? But these people fucking stuck it to him over and over and over. I mean, bravo, what they done. And that's the end of the stream coming up. But it's bravo for the newscasters in that first week of March. They never pulled no fucking punches. The TriCaster operators were bringing up pictures in the background when they said there was no explosions, the experts. Like this lady here, when she said, well, there's an explosion, he said, well, there's no big explosion. The person who was working with her and the TriCaster behind the person who was lying would bring up the explosions. These people done everything they were supposed to do. It was trying to saying, you're a fucking liar. These were professionals. And I hold them in high esteem for what they done. That they really truly did put the right questions to these people. And when they gave them the wrong, bad answers, these people went pounding them again with the facts. And these people come out and blew it away. But you can see these people were shook up. You can see the other people were nervous. You can see these people were shocked by the responses. And then he would ask them or tell them the same thing again. See, wait a second, it was in the food, it was in the water in Tokyo. When do you think it'll be acceptable to admit that in your opinion? Oh, it's all contained on the planet. Yeah, a little bit got it, but it's not going to harm anybody. There's no health catastrophe. He said, but it's in their food and they're in their water. They're passing out. I mean, I've seen that over and over and over. So there were people out there, is all I'm saying. And that's why, see that number there, 2012? That is why all of these showed up. All of a sudden, they should have showed up because it was originally in 2011, but just after the anniversary, in one day, all of these really great clips showed up of all of these great people burning the fucking nuclear industry at the stake. That's what I saw. They were showing how the food had disappeared. People wouldn't buy it. These people come out and gutted the nuclear industry right there on TV, and they never got any credibility. But the nuclear apologists, the maniacs, the fucking mental illness of the industry itself, This thing here is just totally diabolically insane, that lady was. But my hat's off, not to that fucking creature you saw there that time. That's CBS, right? Seth Dorn and Miles O'Brien were both funded by PBS, and they both have worked for CBS, and one of them worked for CNN. There's your reactors. There's no fuel pool on the roof of it. No matter how you try to fucking spin that. There's no fuel pool on any of the roofs. They all fucking blew up, caught fire, melted down. They lost everything at the industry. And let's call it a day. Right? Your fuel pool are at the roof. The roof doesn't. The roof of these buildings are not there. Is that too hard for people? And like, you got to drive that home to people. You got to pound that into their guts. You got to push that documentation and this kind of information, and people like myself, if I can find somebody else like myself, out there. You got to reason with people. Don't be angry with them. You know what I'm saying? With your friends, your families, your loved ones. Just because they reject you now don't mean they're going to reject you in the near future. It'll just remember that you knew something. And so it might hurt your feelings now when you're trying to talk to them, and you might feel that rejection in your friends and your families and strangers. But that doesn't change what we got happening here. That doesn't change. That should not change your resolve, and that shouldn't dissuade you from understanding the significance and the implications and the fact that we have an extinction event playing out on this planet. And Jeff Palco, no obituary, no guest book, no eulogy, no biography, no photos, no nothing. But Dana, you killed him, Dana. You bastard, Dana. You murderer, Dana. While you were on the ocean, you must have killed him. The curse of it is not going to escape anybody anytime soon. And I got no idea what I'm looking at there. Let's look at what Analytic is saying today. Got 119 people came through. Claiming there's only 6 people in the chat room. Okay, hugs for everybody. Start down and below. Hi, Amthirst. Nev Killer. Don't go surfing, buddy. Shanigan. That's her wonderful son there. Long days for that lady. Albert. And I met Elaine, by the way, and that's why I talk to Elaine the way I talk, because she's such a wonderful person. And that's the reality of meeting people. And not everybody's going to be a wonderful person, but you can't avoid everybody because you're afraid. You have to meet people. I got no regrets. I know if I ever hear Connecting Dots, Louis L'Amour's voice up close and personal, I'm going to assume he's there to kill me. And I'm going to assume that because he has tried everything in the world to get people to come, including putting pictures of my home on the internet and telling people where I live and encouraging people to come and harm me. And so I'm assuming that that person would kill me if he had the opportunity. Like he probably killed Palco if Palco actually existed. CJ, hugs, bud. Hugs, Pam, everybody. And I know I don't get everybody in my comment sections. And I'm going to keep them up what's here. Fukushima. Yeah, thank you. Fix it. Hey, buddy. Hugs. And Basta. Bobsta. 45. And anybody else I didn't get, my apologies. Once again, we went a little over the record. I'll leave the equipment running, so in case the funeral home calls me back, and we'll record that. I recorded yesterday's conversation. I turned the mic down a little bit, and I kept my voice low. Hopefully it comes out really good. And I'll do the same thing today. Hugs for everybody. We'll see everybody on the flip side. Tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Canada time, British Columbia time. That Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube. Take care, folks.